Allen's a first-round pick. We got Chase Young now as a first-round pick. They've got Montez Sweat as a first-round pick. And I'm missing the other one. I want to say, is it
Ryan Kerrigan?
Kerrigan and Deron Payne? Payne, the defensive tackle, first-round pick. So 4 years in a row.
And 5 total first-rounders.
It really is just amazing. Allen 17, Payne 18, Sweat 19, Chase Young 20, Kerrigan back in 2011. That's pretty incredible when you think about just all of the number ones on this team in that room. It's the 49ers had 5 of them a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they're built. The rest of that defense, suspect. Their offense, as we mentioned, a one-trick pony with McLaurin. I thought this was fascinating. So against them, just against the Redskins so far this year, they have allowed 8 plays of 20 yards or more. Against. Of those 8 plays, one was a pass to Jalen Reagor, one was a pass to Dallas Goedert, one was a pass to Deshaun Jackson, one was a pass to Andy Isabella, one was a pass to Christian Kirk, one was a pass to DeAndre Hopkins, one was a pass to Dan Arnold. So 7 different receivers have made a play of 20 yards or more. Kyler Murray also ran one. So basically 8 different individuals. The the football team, they have 6 plays of 20 yards or more on the season, 1 an Antonio Gibson run, 1 a pass to Steven Sims Jr., 4 passes to Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin,
the whole thing.
Man, is he good, because to be the whole thing is very difficult. It's a very challenging thing to be, and he's doing it at what I would call a very high level. I mean, he is, as I told you, the percentage of their passing offense, 46%. That's ridiculous. It's the Randy ratio. But their other starters, Steven Sims Jr., Dontrell Inman, former quarterback, Logan Thomas is the tight end. Their running backs, McKissick, Gibson, Barber, Bryce Love. This is not.
I don't even know who those people are.
Right, exactly.
You don't even know who they are.
Not a talented team.
You don't know them. No, you don't know them from college. You don't know them from the pros. It's a vagabond group behind that, and honestly, they're lucky they fell into McLaurin. I mean, some of that scouting, you hope but I mean, I thought he would be good, but I thought primarily he'd be good right away just because he was so elite at special teams at Ohio State. I don't know if anybody thought he'd be this good this quick, and it's not like they went and got him in the first round. So they're lucky they have him, because if he wouldn't have been what he is, they'd really be in trouble.
Absolutely, and then you go a step beyond that. This is an offensive line that we've seen how good Trent Williams has been for the 49ers. He's gone. Mm-hmm. Brandon Scherf, right, their other All-Pro, he's on the IR right now. He will not play against us. Their line is struggling. Haskins has been he's been the lowest rated quarterback in the NFL thus far. I mean, he has struggled in a major way. So this is a team that you look at and you have to say to yourself, if you're the Browns, we've got to be able to defensively get well. There's one guy that we really have to deal with. So let's deal with him. And let's handle our business.
Yeah, it's almost difficult to do. And, they're trying to evaluate Dwayne Haskins. He's in his second year. This is not the group that drafted him. It's not the coach that drafted him. They're trying to evaluate him. It's so hard, though, in my view, to evaluate what he is based on what's around him. It's just really difficult. McLaurin's great. There's a previous relationship, obviously, with Dwayne and Terry, and so that certainly would help. But just from the standpoint of, you as you just went through it at running back, what they have on the outside aside from McLaurin and up front, this is not putting a young quarterback in the best position to succeed. Far from it.
No, very, very far from it. And Dwayne Haskins has been, under duress a lot as well. We alluded to that with the offensive line, the issues they've had there. He's been under pressure so far this season. Has Haskins on 35% of his dropbacks amongst full-time quarterbacks. That's 7th most in the NFL. So he is really 6th most, in the NFL. He's been under duress. When he is under duress, his completion percentage, 23.5%.
Yeah. That's not going to do it, Coach.
That's like 60% of the time it works every time. In this case, no. 35% of the time it doesn't work every time for them. So that's a huge key, obviously, for the Browns is going to be to take advantage of that line, get pressure on them. But this is not a team that scares you offensively other than McLaurin. And it really is a testament to just how good Terry McLaurin is. because
Yeah, it is. It really is.
who
Because
doesn't
otherwise-
have that game plan? Who doesn't have the
Yeah.
game plan going in? Let's just stop Terry McLaurin. And yet
Yeah.
he still produced.
Yeah, he still produces week in and week out, and this is a franchise that is on the build on the field and on the rebuild and rebrand off the field as well. You and I have both called them the Redskins already this week, and I'm guessing it'll happen again. There's just our entire lives. That's what they've been. They're in the middle of a rebrand now. There's they will come in here as the Washington football team, but there's all sorts of rumor about being the Red Tails or Red Wolves or whatever. Which, by the way, Red Tails do it now. It's fantastic.
Did you see those uniforms that
Air
were
Force,
sent to
yeah.
us by Mr. Fox?
I do.
Spectacular.
From Ned Plimpton?
Those
I
would be
did.
great. Yes, Ned. Those
Yeah.
would be great. The Red Tails is great. I'll tell you, football teams kind of grown on me. I think it's fun. When I was trying to write, you're so used to saying, well, the Bengals secondary or the Steelers secondary to be
Sure,
like
of course,
the football
yeah.
team's
Football team
secondary.
secondary.
Yeah. The FT.
I don't. We're the only. We're probably. Well, I know we're the only country in the world that feels like we have to give nicknames. Everybody else is just who they are. Like it's not the Barcelona Bears. It's just Barcelona.
Right.
So we're
Manchester
the only ones
United,
that have
Man
to
U.
do that.
Right.
They're not. Well, their nickname's the Red Devils. They're not. They're not called the Manchester United Red Devils. So
No.
we're the only ones that have to do that. If they want to be the Washington football team, they could be. My guess is that they'll want to go off of that, knowing how the NFL brands a little bit. But either way, in between it, and either way. Any way you slice it, a game that is, it doesn't have the pressure of last week because you won last week, right? But if your grand scheme of getting into the postseason, if this is a must-win.
It's a race. Look, it's a race to 9 or 10, right?
Yeah.
This is one that you need to notch this one on the old belt there. This needs to be added to the one. This needs to get us to 2. And by the way, I think for this organization, Beau, we have not been above 500 in the regular season since week 11 of 2014.
Yep.
7-4, and then we were still above, I guess, after that until we ended up 7-9 on that season. We lost 5 straight to end the year, but 2014 is the last season in which the Cleveland Browns, I guess it would be week 15, was the last season that the Cleveland Browns had a winning record in the regular season. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, that's I think just from a mindset standpoint, that putting back-to-back wins together.
Yep.
Big.
Yep. Really important to take care of this one and get to 2-1. If you're looking to refinance or purchase a home at Union Home Mortgage, their process is simple and straightforward. Your loan officer keeps you in the loop all the way to the end zone. Visit unionhomemortgage.com to get a mortgage you'll rave about. Union Home Mortgage, promises kept. Union Home Mortgage Corp. NMLS 2229 is an equal housing lender. You'll hear from your quarterback up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
up.
Brilliant Electric Sign Company is Northeast Ohio's largest full-service sign company, serving their clients for over 91 years. Contact the experts at Brilliant Sign Electric Sign to provide you a state-of-the-art signage solution that's going to grow your business. Visit them very easily at brilliantsign.com. Our quarterback, Baker Mayfield, nothing short of brilliant last week in his win against Cincinnati. Looking to stack a couple of them together this week against Washington. Here he was from earlier at the podium.
Baker, I was just wondering, as a player,
Guys are both down.
how is it to watch what went on around the league on Sunday with all those injuries? It's got to be difficult, especially, you're friends with Barkley and some of those other guys. How tough is that to see?
Yeah, it's never good to see injuries. You never wish that upon anybody. You never want that for anyone around the league, division rivals, anything like that. It doesn't matter. You want these guys to be healthy. So it was pretty sad to see all that going on. I mean, all you can do is pray and hope for speedy recoveries and just hope for the best for those guys. It's tough to see, but yeah, I mean, we got lucky, so we just got to move on.
Yeah, I think people are wondering if the lack of an off season might have anything to do with that. And I was just wondering, when you see something like that, Baker, does that change anything in terms of the player? I mean, obviously it makes you appreciate being able to stay healthy and all, but in terms of conditioning or anything else?
Yeah, not having the preseason games, I think your body's not used to getting hit, and also just being on the field. I mean, you can say that's why, and I think that might have helped be the reasoning for some of that, but I don't have the answers to that.
Hey Baker, I'm sure you've probably got a chance to watch some of the film so far of the Redskins. So just wondering what your thoughts are on Chase Young in particular, and then going up against a defense that leads the NFL right now with 11 sacks.
Yeah, they're really good up front. That's the challenge for us. The game starts up front. We have to bring the intensity. They've got great players. Obviously, Chase Young, high draft pick, but he's playing like he's proven why they chose him so high. And then they got guys all around. It's not just him. So we have to find completions, get the ball out, establish that run game. Not let them be the game wreckers.
Was it amazing to see that they sacked Carson Wentz, another good quarterback like yourself, 8 times in the opener? That's kind of a huge number, obviously.
Yeah, they had a really good game, that first game. This weekend, Kyler got away from a couple, just with his quickness and getting the ball out quickly. So, we got to approach it with the idea and the mindset of not letting them affect the game too much.
In terms of what you guys were able to do Thursday night offensively and you individually, what do you want to build on in this game off of that? And just, was that a boost in confidence for you to be able to get going in that play action game that you look forward to utilizing under Stefanski?
Yeah, no, I think first carrying over the mindset of finding completions, establishing that run game. Like I said after the game, that's the standard that we're trying to set, the expectation for us. So, got to come out firing and executing early on. You have those first 15 plays that you want to come out and get going, and we need to do that again.
Hey, Baker, just curious, with the short training camp and then the short week last week after the first game, are you starting to feel any normalcy or any added comfort level with your preparation, routine, things like that?
Absolutely. I think we're all into a routine now. It works for us. And, it helps to have the Thursday game and have a little bit extra prep. It's just we don't have a lot of film to watch. You just have the Eagles and the Cardinals game. So, we found a routine. I think everybody has, but especially speaking for myself, I have.
Hi, Baker. You've talked about how last year you weren't always comfortable and confident in the protection. So when you go into a matchup like this week against Washington, how much better do you feel about the guys in front of you, and how helpful is that?
I feel really great. Like we hit on after the game last week, it's, we had no sacks, over 200 yards rushing. They played extremely well. We're going to lean on those guys and trust them to do that week in and week out. Yeah, we know it's a different opponent this week, but we have to carry the same mindset to go in there and execute.
Hey, Baker, it looked like Thursday night you guys used a lot more motion than you did against Baltimore. For you as the quarterback, how does that kind of help you when you guys go into a game and decide to use a lot of pre-snap motion?
We have some of those motions in there for indicators on what they're doing. Man zone tells and just certain run plays, getting the looks and getting the leverage. So it helps a lot, but when it comes down to it, no matter what play is called, we have to go in there and execute it.
Hey, Baker, specifically Wyatt Teller, looks like he really sees that right guard job. And what do you think has helped him really make a jump? Is it the coaching, or is it guys around him, or what?
I think Wyatt took advantage of the long off season and being able to get his body right. Something I can relate to, but he put on a ton of muscle mass, and then we have a great line coach in Bill Callahan that I think Bill's extremely hard on those guys, but I think Wyatt has learned a lot from him just from the short time he's been with him, and you can see in the production that he's having.
Hey Baker, after the win Thursday, Coach Stefanski, when speaking about your interception, mentioned how he knew it was a throw you'd like back. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that. Specifically, I'm curious, what do you remember seeing pre-snap? What do you remember seeing as the play unfolded? And now that you have that rep on tape, what have you learned from it?
Coming off of the play-action bootleg game, having somebody in your face, you want to, obviously find a completion or find an incompletion. No negative plays when you have somebody in your face like that. So as I'm coming out, there's somebody right there. I see Harrison Wynn on Jesse Bates on the corner post, but because I stepped up and had to stop and didn't have my eyes on the backside corner, that's where the interception happened. So when it comes to that stuff, and I can't see the whole field, the perfect look that we need for it, just check it down or find an incompletion.
Hey Baker, I was just wondering, do you see any similarities with this Washington defensive line and the San Francisco defensive line that you faced last year?
I think just what they're trying to do, let those guys go make plays. San Fran had where they put the 5 bigs in the game and said, hey, one-on-one, somebody's going to win. We're not seeing that with Washington. That doesn't mean they can't show up and do that, but because they have the personnel. It's just different schematically, but yes, talent-wise, very similar.
Hey Baker, I'm just wondering if you think that you and Odell connecting on that really nice rollout touchdown pass, you think that can give you guys some momentum as you're trying to consistently get on the same page?
Yeah, I think so. We had a few more completions last Thursday, so just continue to build that, get the ball in his hands, let him make plays.
Hey Baker, is it, or how difficult is it for you, knowing that I've heard you say, dealer's choice, and you've got all these great weapons when you look out there. How tough is it for you as a quarterback to know that, you've got to just kind of maybe put the blinders on, stick with the game plan, and I guess not worry too much about coming out of the game and wondering if people got their touches and things like that? Does that kind of stuff have to go through your mind? Do you have to deal with that?
No, I mean, I would say yes, but that's something in the offseason, just knowing to trust the system, go through my reads, not try and force the ball, get it in those guys' hands, and trust that we have everybody around the field that I can trust to do that. They can go out there and make plays. That's why they're all here. So
1 minute. Go
through my reads and put that on the coaches, and AVP and Stefanski have said many times to trust that their play calling will get the ball in guys' hands to get them going, and I just do my job.
Hey, Baker, we heard so much in the offseason about Coach Stefanski's system being perfect for you. And when you run those couple of rollout off misdirection early and get those 2 quick completions, how much do you think that suits what you do well, and how comfortable are you doing that? I'm very comfortable doing it.
30.
It just helped me, though. It helps the O-line move in the pockets where we're not just dropping back and letting teams tee off on us, having to react, and it helps our run game out. When they have to worry about us pulling the ball and throwing passes or rolling out, that means they have to be a little hesitant on the backside, which opens up holes for
standby
runs. Not that we had any last week because there was a lot of gashes front side, but it just helps everybody out. It makes us more versatile, and teams have to prepare for it.
You're up.
Man, I like what you're hearing out of your quarterback heading into week 3 and another big one at home where hopefully he can continue to gain some confidence in the system. I thought he and Stefanski were so on the same page in the win over Cincinnati, and hopefully that momentum continues Sunday.
Yeah, that's what this offense is supposed to be, the run game and the play action off of it. Shot plays, as you saw, all of it was working. And, yeah, Baker was so sharp in that game as we've had Sam Monson come on. We've had Dan Orlovsky this week as the parade of stars has come through the CBD town. that Baker Mayfield is a winning Baker Mayfield. If he plays like that, we will
Yep.
win. Simple. Just that simple. That was great quarterback play. It was efficient, and that's the word that I've continued to use about this offense. People think we're going to see gaudy statistics in the passing game. I don't. We'll have a few games probably where you pop off over 300, but for the most part, mid 200s, but high yards per attempt, high yards per target for your receivers, high completion percentage, good touchdown to interception ratio. Those are the hallmarks, and that's still we still have to get there. I'd like to see a clean game in terms of interceptions, a no interception game from Baker. That's the next evolution for me from him. And this would be a great week to do that.
Yeah, it certainly was. Steve Palazzolo, talking to him this morning, echoed similar to what Sam said too, that it was he basically said, "You guys know how much we believe in Baker. It was good to see him back to what we know he is." And that was what we saw last week in the win over Cincinnati, and hopefully that continues with the win this weekend over Washington before heading to Big D, and one that will have a lot of emotion, obviously, for Baker heading back to the state of Texas. We hit around the league next. Included in that, an incredible story, hard to believe, of what happened to Tyrod Taylor in advance of their game against the Chiefs. We will get to that coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau here from my great friends at Raising Cane's. On game day, go for the win with Raising Cane's chicken fingers. Stack your roster with delicious, hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. Huddle up with crispy, crinkle-cut fries, coleslaw, and buttery Texas toast. It's all a win. Even top it off with some freshly made tea and lemonade. I always go with the sweet tea when I go to Cane's. Visit the newest Raising Cane's on Brook Park Road in North Olmsted, right behind Great Northern Mall. Raising Cane's chicken fingers certainly is one love. Time to go around the league, and this is just a really troubling story. So if you're wondering why, and you had a hard time figuring it out on Sunday because all of a sudden Justin Herbert was starting. There was no inclination that he was going to start almost until like 10 minutes before the game, and then he was going to start. And all of a sudden he started, he played really well. And then you heard the news of chest pains for Tyrod Taylor, and now we get the news today that the Chargers team doctor punctured Tyrod Taylor's lung while giving him a faulty painkiller injection for his rib injury suffered in week 1. Man, that's hard to wrap my head around.
It's really hard to wrap your head around, and it sounds very, very scary. As Adam Schefter said on the Pat McAfee show, he said this type of pain-killing injection, it's not unique, it's not rare, but it's rare that a lung is punctured. I think players know there's always a risk when they get an injection in the rib area, and this could be a big problem, obviously, for the Chargers, the NFL, that doctor, clearly, but a scary situation. And as I said, and I tweet about this, Tyrod was always a great guy when he was here, and that's just, these guys are so tough, and they do a lot of things that, aren't typically broadcasted. This would be something that is not typically broadcasted. He would have received the shot. He would have gone and played the game. Nobody would have known about it. These are some of the decisions that players make to play. And in this case, the side effect of it obviously was catastrophic, a punctured lung. That's not serious. That is quite serious. And you just feel bad for him. And you feel bad for him. You feel bad for the doctor. Obviously, he didn't intend to do this. It was a mistake. Of course. And but the NFLPA is going to be all over this. This is going to be This is not a small issue. We'll say it that way.
Yeah, no. This will be rather large going forward, and I think it could end. There's going to be some litigation settlements. I think all those things are in play now. If this is some sort of detriment to Tyrod Taylor's career, and you just have no idea what this will be. So yeah, it was terrifying to read that this morning. Both Sean Payton and John Gruden also hit with fines for not wearing their masks. It's pretty simple. If you're going to coach in the NFL, you need to wear a mask. I liked the conversation we had yesterday where look, it's pretty simple. Wear the mask, but the flip side of that is if I'm getting tested every day like everybody else is, and the players aren't wearing masks, why do I have to wear a mask?
Right. Fair.
But it's one of those things where, which to me seems very fair. So I think it is a tricky spot, and it's probably more for the look of it than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's just to help perpetuate the message. And we heard head coach Kevin Stefanski, when asked about that with the media, he said, this thing is not coming off of me, and it hasn't thus far. And, these are the rules. Not every rule makes sense. I think every one of us in our lives have dealt with a rule that we did not think on its surface made sense to us, but we must follow them.
Give me one from Pedro. Give me one from Pedro.
One.
Give me one Pedro from your youth that you were like, this is ridiculous.
There's a billion, all of them, my entire upbringing. All of them. 100% of them.
Your entire upbringing didn't make sense.
100%. I mean, that could actually be, that's not a podcast though that I feel like we could do on this air.
Under this umbrella?
Yeah, there's too much going on there. But we've all dealt with these things and
yeah. It's like what I tell my kids when they say, when it gets to the point where they keep, like my oldest is, he's Daniel Caffey. Like he will argue forever. And I will eventually say he will get to a point, and I'll just say, it's because I said so.
Period.
And that's where the NFL is with the mask mandate. It's because we said so. You're going to wear the mask because we said so. And that's it. And you can't reason with it, and you can't worry about it. If you don't, we're gonna penalize you pretty big monetarily. And these are really significant fines.
Very significant, but that's what it. Look, it's not a joke. This is what we're doing. Is it over the top in some cases? Yes. For example, I'll just relate it to my own self. In Cleveland, absolutely needed to wear a mask. We had fans there. I had to, in many cases, to navigate and do my job, walk through fans because of the setup that Aaron Andrews had, and also because of the setup. There's a one tunnel that doesn't have a walkway over it, so it actually disconnects the stands. So I had to go up and go through the crowd. In Baltimore, there were no fans. I was never near another human being. In fact, the closest I ever got would have been there was a guy at some point 8 rows above me in an open-air stadium. So he would have been security because it was my row, 8 rows of tarp seats, and then he would stand there. But, I mean, it's not like we were ever close. But I had to wear a mask the entire time. Why? Because that was the deal when I went there. When you're here, you're going to wear a mask. Okay. Did I need to? Probably not. I couldn't have. There's nobody around me. I may well have been in a park. But that's what it was. So that's what you have to do. The coaches, they're tested the same as the players. It's in some ways, to me, it's silly that if the players don't have to wear it, the coaches do. But again, that's what it is. I also think, like you do, players are going to have helmets on a lot of times. They're showing these coaches on TV. It's just a part of the message. It's part of saying, this is something that I am capable of doing. And by the way, you can wear the face shield like Andy Reid. He had the face shield on.
I would do that. I don't know why more don't do that. I would do that if I were them.
He even had the hockey defogging technology in there.
The defogging thing, yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that would be the way to do it. Would be to wear that plastic mask.
Right.
McVay talked about doing that in Hard Knocks, and he did wear it in Hard Knocks, but I don't think he's worn it in the games. I think he's gone. What's he gone? More the Gator?
He's gone more. Has he not worn the team issued black mask?
I can't remember if he's doing the team-issued black mask or if he's wearing a Gator.
I found, and this is just me, my personal experience, so I have the N95 would be very difficult to wear for 3 straight hours because that thing is actually protecting.
But that's surgical.
That's the real deal.
Yep.
The Zabo apparel mask that I wore, for those who saw my picture on Twitter at the Browns game, the orange says CLE, I could wear that 3 hours, no problem. And I think that's the same type of fabric that's being used by the players. It's breathable, but you feel very safe in it. It's secure, and it doesn't, part of the problem is when you're talking, especially the way they are, where they're talking loudly, is there's a difference between just talking with somebody and then when you're talking, whether it's broadcast talking or in that case probably replay.
Sure.
Because you have a much deeper, it's subconscious. You and I, we do it so often, it's subconscious.
Yeah.
That deeper inhale to really set yourself up to project and to talk.
Sure.
That sucks the mask in, and then all of a sudden everything goes crazy. So you need a mask that'll keep its shape, but that is also feels light and good on your face. And that's why that Zabo apparel one for me has been so good. But yeah, look, there's no reason for me to be wearing a mask in Baltimore from a scientific standpoint, but it was the rules. So of course I wore my mask the entire time in Baltimore.
So you do it. Yeah, you do it because they say. Last one real quickly here from the college football world. Notre Dame's game against Wake Forest postponed. At least 7 Notre Dame players test positive for COVID. They'll play Wake Forest instead on December 12th. The ACC has built in 1 week here. You will recall that the Big Ten has no such margin for error. So if this were to happen in the Big Ten, they'd lose a game as the schedule is currently constructed. College football's hurdles continue to be far greater than the hurdles of the other sports when you're talking about amateur athletes and on campus. And this is the latest example of that.
Yep. Yeah, it's
going to be tough.
It's going to be difficult. It is a much different situation than what we're seeing here in the National Football League. And we're very lucky for that, and that's why you feel good about it. Colleges are tough, and anybody who's on the gram or has seen the videos via Barstool of the behavior happening at various colleges know that it will be very difficult for a student athlete to escape the spread of this virus.
Yes. Yep. Very much so. Coming up next, we win because Bernie Kosar is going to join the program. Before we get to that, though, are you obsessing over something like football? It can be a problem. If you're obsessing over gambling, well, that can be downright dangerous. So do something to take your mind off it, like finding a hobby. Want more tips like this? It's real easy. Go to keepitfunohio.com. Great ways to keep gambling fun. The great Bernie Kosar will join us coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home, and it's a good time to do it, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services have you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. And with that, we head out on the Fifth Third Money Line for a visit with our great friend Bernie Kosar. Great to talk to you, Bernie. How you doing on this fine Wednesday, my friend?
I'm doing good, Beau. Excellent. How about yourself?
Well, we're hanging in there. I mean, the sun's out. It's a beautiful fall day in Ohio, our friend. It's better this week with the performance of the offense. Now, some of that's opponent, right? I mean, Cincinnati's not on the level of Baltimore, but some of it is what we were doing in the execution of our quarterback. What did you see last Thursday night that you liked?
Fantastic performance to get the W. When we talked last Wednesday, things weren't quite as positive as they are this Wednesday before the Bengals game. And for the offense to come out, and we really, I thought, saw the beautifulness of the two backs, of the new system, of the multiple tight ends, of the multiple personnel groups with some of the motions and shifts. And to run the ball with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt obviously was effective. But I really love the beautifulness of Coach Stefanski, knowing that we're going to come out and run the ball. And Cincinnati not having Geno Atkins and Mike Daniels, their two top defensive tackles, knowing that we're going to want to press the action, running the ball at them and be physical. To have those first three plays of the game be bootlegs from a two-back run-like formations and move the pocket outside, get Baker on the move to the right and to the left, and not just short, little, easy throws, down the field chunk plays to not only keep the defense off balance, but spread them out. And then that, I really believe, opened up the running game even that much more so.
And Bernie, as a quarterback, in week one we talked about, those bootleg rollouts, and there was one in particular where it looked, watching the tape back, there was a play to be made, but it wasn't. To have your coach go right back to that and say, I believe in you, and you hit those and get in a rhythm, what does that do for your mindset as a quarterback that your coach says, I know you got this. I'm calling this again. Let's go do it.
Yeah, Nathan, right. Great point. Confidence, believing in yourself is one thing, and I believe it's an essential part of good performance. When you're a coach and the people around you have that type of confidence, knowing that you're capable of doing it and going right back to it, I think that exponentially not only takes yourself but takes everybody to another level of performance. And we saw that Thursday night.
Bernie, what did you think of Kevin's play calling in week two, just in general? Because we loved what we saw. It seemed like everything set something else up. It felt like he really had the temperature of the game. What did you see?
Well said. I don't want to look like a complete homer and completely biased, but if you extract the emotion of being a Browns fan and the emotion of being a homer of the Browns, factually, that's as beautiful a play calling as you want, given our personnel, given our strength of our team, given the assets that I believe that we have offensively. All the stuff that we talked about through the course of the off season of running the ball, two backs, multiple tight ends, motions, shifts, different personnel groups, coming at you, throwing the ball down the field on those play-action bootleg plays. All of that came to fruition Thursday night, and I really think one of the things that helped accentuate the positiveness of it is what we were just talking about a couple minutes ago. The first few plays of the game were those bootlegs, were those down-the-field throws from those running type formations with multiple tight ends and multiple backs in there. And I really think that put Cincinnati on the defense, literally on the defensive from the beginning.
And for a quarterback, when you come out and you throw a strike on your first two, then you get in that rhythm, what does that do for you, just your mindset? I can liken it to maybe in hoops when, you get your first two shots up and they're pure and you start to say, okay, I'm feeling pretty good today. As a quarterback, does that start to happen too? Because that second throw, the levels concept where he goes high to low as he should and throws it absolutely perfectly to Kaderil Hodge, that's got to be one that as a quarterback gets you going and say, all right, now I know I can make plays today.
Yeah, well said. Love the high to low throws, looking deep to short, giving yourself that opportunity for the bombs right off the bat. Hitting those first couple throws, making the throws on top of coach making the calls, and the whole staff of having plays that get guys basically open and execute it like that, absolutely is kind of the seed that grows, that puts that confidence not only for the game, but I think that could set a kind of a foundation of confidence as we start getting into the next phase of our season.
Which certainly we will be looking forward to. Now, Bernie, there were some pundits who called you a dual-threat quarterback, but we know you like to do most of your work in the pocket. So you've talked many times about the importance of staying in the pocket, climbing the pocket, and delivering the football with a little bit of chaos going around you. Week 1, we saw Baker sometimes leave that clean pocket. This week, much better, hanging in, climbing the pocket, making the throws with that chaos around him. Why is that so important?
Yeah, no doubt. I did not leave the pocket mainly because I wasn't capable of. There was a complete lack of speed.
A few pundits. I said a few. That's right.
Yeah. There was more than a few pundits, and I was chased down, and I didn't even have Chase Young chasing me, and I was still caught. So I had to learn how to maneuver in the pocket, and again, subtle movements of a couple of feet, a couple of subtle steps to buy yourself a couple hundredths of a second, a tenth of a second, while keeping your eyes up and downfield with shuffling within the pocket is an imperative trait to have success as a pocket quarterback. And absolutely, in just 4 days from week 1 to week 2, Baker's presence within that pocket on a few of the dropbacks that we threw were absolutely a lot better. And to all the quarterbacks within the league, you noticed, I thought, a little better presence within week 2, because a lot of those quarterbacks in week 1, even if you are a veteran, stepping in to a huddle with live action and kind of the bullets flying around you, you can't really assimilate that in practice. And I thought not only Baker, but across the league, you saw some guys feeling more comfortable within the pocket.
Bernie Kosar joining us, the great Bernie Kosar on the Fifth Third Money Line. Bernie, you played with a couple of 1,000-yard backs, obviously, in Biner and Mack. You think about what Kareem and Nick are on pace to do. You think about that drive in the fourth quarter where they went 70 yards all on the ground and just dominated, and those two being great's a big part of it. But the other thing that has to make that work is great offensive line play. And we're 2 weeks in, and we like what we see. What are you seeing out of this offensive line early?
Yeah, we love what we see. And when you want to win games and close games out, look at how pretty we were early with the deeper throws, the bootlegs we're talking about, the down-the-field throws, the chunk plays. Beautiful way to get a lead and to get yourself in a position to win. But good, strong, complementary football teams, like I believe you need to be in the AFC North like us, with the weather that we have, it's important to have all those aspects of your game, and our team is absolutely adding that.
Bernie, you mentioned multiple running backs early, and in this game, the first 3 quarters, 75% of the snaps were Nick Chubb. In that fourth quarter, 75% of them went to Kareem Hunt. And you have a little bit of experience with 2 incredible backs behind you. For an offense, what does that do? And for a defense, when you're able to bring in a fresh Kareem Hunt after they've been getting pounded for 3 quarters by Nick Chubb, it almost looked unfair out there. Kareem was playing at a different speed and with a different tenacity.
Yeah, to your point, Nathan, and to finish the answer to Beau's question, it's beautiful, not just from an offense and defensive perspective. This is beautiful from an organizational perspective of getting W's, because, yes, you're wearing out the defense. Yes, you're showing that confidence. Yeah, Nick Chubb goes at him hard. Then you have another guy, Kareem Hunt, come in with that strength and freshness to really take it to a tired defense. that's how you close out games to win. And just like you're perfectly pointing out, that fourth quarter drive with all running plays to put the nail in the coffin and physically say that we are better and more dominant a football team than you are, that ability reminded me so much of us in the 80s with the awesome offensive line, Mack and Biner, and physically you wear people down to the point in the fourth quarter you've imposed your will, and then they're turning down those tackles. That's a beautiful thing to get a W, closing out physical presence doing that.
Yeah, there's something about, I would assume, Bernie, in the huddle of those games as the quarterback where everyone just gets excited because running is the most primal part of this game, right? The run game. Just run straight at the guy at you, run them over and block them. Are we tougher than them? And when you get that confidence, it just lifts everybody up, and you could see that on Thursday night, like it was just one after another. I'm sure you felt that many times with Biner and Mack.
A fantastic choice of words, Beau, with the word primal. With kids getting out of school right now, possibly listening to us on their way home,
yes.
Those primal instincts right there of football, not to get overly emotional with you, but at the end of the day in the fourth quarter, when the game's on the line, something just as the simplicity of those primal instincts of wanting to beat the guy up across from you, and impose your will to come to, as Jimmy Johnson would say, somehow, some way, find a way to win. That's somewhat the essence, I believe, of good, strong, tough, winning football teams and organizations.
And we certainly saw that on Thursday night, and we hope to see that a lot more this season from our Browns, talking with the living legend himself, Bernie Kosar. Bernie, we've talked about what's happened. Let's take a quick look ahead. You mentioned Chase Young earlier when you were talking about guys chasing you. 11 sacks from this Washington football team through 2 weeks. That's most in the NFL. They take on the Browns this Sunday as a quarterback. When you know you're going against an opponent that can, get after the quarterback like that, 5 first-rounders on that D-line, what do you expect to see in the game plan, and what would you expect to be thinking about and focusing on, emphasizing as the quarterback?
Well, their defensive line is with, again, 5, as you point out, five number 1 draft picks. They get after the quarterback. I love Coach Rivera, Ron Rivera. I played against him when he was a player with the Chicago Bears. Love what he did in Carolina. You could see the structure, the discipline that he's bringing to the Washington football team that really had somewhat of a dysfunctional offseason. There's been a lot of press, a lot of distractions, a lot of things going on that are non-football related for that team that perennially has not won over the last few years. So a great man of good character and discipline kind of righting the ship there from a leadership perspective is probably refreshing from the Washington point of view. From the Browns' perspective, I would rather see them stay highly dysfunctional like they had been in the past, because that tends to make it easier to beat them. The recipe, I believe, when you have a defensive line that strong is to go at them again, just like we did last week. The multiple backs, the multiple tight ends, physically going after them. And then that's going to bring on man coverage outside. And when you boot and play action, stay with those bootlegs, stay with that play action. You're going to get one-on-one coverage on the intermediate routes with OBJ and Jarvis Landry. You're going to have checkdowns and open stuff in the voids on the play action and bootleg passes. And then you impose your will and you slow down that pass rush by physically kind of banging them on every play by more than one blocker.
Bernie, it's a great pleasure that we get to have you on every week, and we thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Awesome. Go Browns.
Let's go.
Absolutely. The living legend, Bernie Kosar, right there. And a reminder that Bernie and all guests appear on CBD. Do so on the Fifth Third Money Line, Fifth Third Bank, making Cleveland Browns daily a Fifth Third better. Coming up next, you'll hear from a couple of our offensive linemen. Jack Conklin looking like he's going to be back. Jedrick Wills has been extraordinary early on in his Browns career. You'll hear from them up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau here, my great friends at Northeast Factory Direct. And let's talk about your mattress. It may be to blame for your bad night's sleep, back pain, or even your discomfort. You've probably gone to traditional stores and you've seen the outrageous prices that are there. Well, you're not going to find those at Northeast Factory Direct. They've gotten rid of all of those extras. You get the same quality mattress for a fraction of the cost. This is a perfect way to illustrate it. Alex partnered with the manufacturer in the United States. They make mattresses exclusively for Northeast. That means he buys those mattresses by the truckload and passes all the savings on to you. Pillow top, memory foam, gel foam, all the sizes. They've got a ton of mattresses in stock. And they're ready to deliver them, and you can get them right away. They also have 0% financing available. The easiest thing to do, well, check them out. West 140th Street in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, or Freeway Drive in Macedonia, or shop them online anytime at northeastfactorydirect.com. Our offensive line has been one of the bright spots and allows us to get a good night's sleep every single night, and a big part of that has been Jack Conklin and Jedrick Wills. Let's hear from Jack Conklin up first.
How are you feeling now?
Both down.
Ankle, and what was that situation like? Obviously, we saw you out there on the field before the game testing it, and we know you're active, but what was it like working through that and ultimately the decision that was made?
The ankle's feeling great. I'll be back to 100% this week, rolling. Obviously, it's a tough situation on the short week, trying to come back after, getting beat up. And, it came down to the wire. And obviously, Coach made the decision after the workout to have me stay active, but keep me down in case of some sort of emergency. It's tough. We want to be out there to play, but that's why I'm here. And hopefully we don't have that situation again.
And does that mini bye week give you confidence? And, like you said, 100%, but does that factor into being able to trust it and go out there and feel like you're going to be able to perform really well?
Definitely. Having those 10 days, that was fantastic for my ankle, and I'm feeling great. I am feeling great.
What does it do for a lineman when you see Nick Chubb truck a guy?
Gets you really excited. I mean, that's the fun part with Nick and Kareem. We block up our guys. They can make somebody miss or just flat out run them over, and that really pumps us up, and it's an awesome to be able to have those two back there.
Hey, Jack, what strides have you seen out of Jed through these first couple of games?
I think the biggest thing is just confidence. I think for him just coming into the league, moving from right tackle to left tackle, that alone is a tough transition. And then not having any preseason games, that's a whole nother one. Just being out there and not seeing anybody but your own jersey in front of you. But luckily, we have such a good defensive front. That was a great challenge for him. But I think just getting out there, being in the game, having the shots fired at him, you can really see him fighting back and figuring out and really gaining confidence every week.
Hey, Jack, watching the game against Cincinnati from the sidelines, did you see flashbacks to the formula that the Titans used last year? And is it similar to what you guys are doing offensively?
Definitely see a lot of translation there, just with the wide zone and that hitting, and then once you get the success in the run, that turned into the pass, the play action stuff, and I think it definitely correlates a little bit more with what you see
1 minute.
Minnesota last year, obviously with Coach coming from there, but there's definitely a lot of similarities with the formula of how we did things in Tennessee and now here in Cleveland as well.
Jack, when you see Baker have that early success that he did Thursday night with the rollouts and getting the completions and hitting OBJ on that long touchdown, do you feel like this is the perfect system for him?
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is especially with the threats we have. I mean, when you can get the quarterback out in space and you get the defense worried about the run, it's just going to get
30
more time, get him in a position where he's not worried about just having to sit back in the pocket. I mean, that's tough for any quarterback. That's just got to sit back there and that's to worry about the offensive line holding up. I mean, when you can change it up on the defense and make them think we're going to be out of the pocket. So then in the situations where you do have to sit back, they're
stand by
where it's not going to be a collapse of pocket as quickly and stuff like that. And he's really doing. You can really see him starting to grasp the offense on Thursday night. And I'm excited to see what he can do the rest.
You're up.
One of the really cool things that's happened, and it happened Thursday night, is we have Hub.
Yep.
So, and this offense fits Hub so much better than the last offense fit Hub, and to be able to have him play, he can go left or right in the case of an injury. And you think about our tackle situation a year ago, and we'll get to Jedrick Wills in a second, but now to think that you have Wills playing the way he's playing, Hub now the swing, and Conklin as the starter, man, what a difference a year makes at tackle.
Boy, it sure does. And what a difference it makes having Bill Callahan, and what a difference it makes having this system and getting guys whose movement skills fit this system. I don't think it's any surprise the combination of his own hard work, a combination of the new coach, Bill Callahan, and also the system has turned Wyatt Teller into an absolute star through 2 weeks. He's been incredible. These tackles, though, that was priority one. You get it. Hub takes the pay cut, says, look, I want to be here. I want to be a part of it. And not many teams can plug in their right tackle and just, oh, there's a guy who started 29 games for us the last 2 years at this position. And he played great. So, yeah, these two, very impressive. I've retweeted a lot of stuff that the Hoff, Joe Thomas, has been tweeting and commenting on some video clips of Jed's performances from last week that break down some of – and Joe says things like, it brings a tear to my eye. This is eighth-year technique, and he gets very excited about it. So these guys are playing well. This line is playing well. J.C. Treader, we don't talk about. We take it for granted, but J.C. Treader didn't participate at all in training camp at all.
Nothing.
Fine. He's been great. He's been great out there at center. Joel's been Joel. Wyatt's been, Pro Football Focus would say the best guard in the league.
Yeah, that's really been, and we're going to get to Jed in a second here, but Wyatt Teller playing at the level he's played at for 2 weeks, when one of the only questions we had all offseason is who's playing right guard. Well, it's Wyatt Teller, and it's going to be that way for a long time. He's great. He's absolutely great. He's been dominant the first 2 weeks, and hopefully that continues. You mentioned Joe and the excitement of Jedrick Wills. We all had that because Joe had it.
Yep.
That's where that excitement came from. Now, you'd be remiss not to say that in camp there were some worrisome moments, to say the least, with what we saw out of Jedrick Wills. That has not been the case in the games. He's been extraordinary at the position. Here is Jedrick Wills from earlier today.
Hey, Jed, what makes Chase Young so good and worthy of that number 2 pick?
He's just a freak of nature. So you don't see a lot of guys that can run the league. It just has a lot of size and ability, a lot of speed and power, just like a good combination of everything you need.
Hey, Jed, just wondering how much did it help you to have a guy like Miles, even though I know you didn't go against Miles every single rep in practice, but when you know you have to face a freak of nature like Chase Young, how much does it help you to know that you have worked against a Miles who probably has some similar speed and explosiveness?
It helps a lot going against those guys like that. I have full confidence in myself. Seeing those guys in practice like that every day, and that's what they get paid to do, and we get paid to protect. So,
hey, Jed, Jack was
30.
Washington flips their ends, so you're going to see Chase and Sweat and probably Kerrigan too. Is that difficult? Not seeing the same guy, snap in and snap out.
Yeah, because everybody's different players. I feel like it's more just comes from preparation, studying up on everybody.
Stand by.
Who's going to go in case an injury happens, or maybe this guy is better for the game plan this week. So we really just got to study up on everybody and, just be ready for those different guys who come in.
You're up.
Well, it's a pretty big challenge this week. He was great against Dunlop in last week's game against Cincinnati. Big one this week with, I would assume it'd be he and Chase would see each other quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a great matchup. You want to talk about two of the best young players in the league at their respective positions. Chase Young, 2.5 sacks through 2 games for the Skins. He's been an absolute terror on opposing quarterbacks. And Jed, who really looked great on Thursday night, and you want to see that continue. He was awesome. This is going to be a fun one. This is, like I said, strength versus strength. And if the Browns can do what they've done the first 2 weeks, because the front in Baltimore was tremendous. And Baker had time in that game. It's not as though he was under such duress that it derailed our offense.
Let me ask you a question. You're right. Baker did have time. Do you think – I was wondering this last week after our game against Cincinnati, if the film showed him how much time he actually had. Because a lot of bad habits were built last season.
Sure.
And I wonder – if the film of watching Baltimore going, oh, I had more than I thought here. I can trust these guys. I wonder if that played in to what we saw last Thursday night.
I think it's very possible, and I think you bring up an excellent point. He's looking around the league, and he says, well, wait a second. We've given up 9 pressures on 66 dropbacks. We've got the 4th best pass blocking line in the league through 2 weeks by that metric. Yeah, right. Maybe I do have a little bit more time to go ahead and hang tough in the pocket. And that's what we talked a little bit there with Bernie. And I think that's critically important, right? To know, to have that trust and that ability to say, these guys up front are getting it done for me, and let's go ahead and trust them. I think that was a coaching point for sure. I also think he saw it, and I think he said to himself, yeah, I need to do a better job of staying there. They're giving me the opportunity to make plays. I've got to go ahead and make those plays. And I talked earlier in the show about just the drop back percentage under pressure of the quarterbacks who have played 50% of their team snaps. Dwayne Haskins, 6th at 35%. You got to scroll well down the list. Baker Mayfield there says 30% of his dropbacks that he's been under pressure. But that, I find, you go to week 1's week 2, it's a little bit misleading in the sense that he wasn't even touched this past week. Not touched. So, yeah, they were around him a little bit in week 1. But I think when you look at and you say to yourself, okay, what do we see here in week 1 for Baker Mayfield? Yeah, you were only under pressure 28.6% of the time. You had more time to throw the football than you took advantage of. And I think that's a great point. In the film, it was there. Don't leave there. Trust, stay, deliver the football.
Yep, and I do wonder if that was the case. What Jed has done in a month is as much growth as I've seen in a rookie. I've been around this team or didn't cover the NFL the way you did on a daily basis. But in the time I've been around the league covering it on a daily basis the last 3 years, that far in a month is incredible because there were some anxious moments in camp. None now. He's fine. He's going to be great going forward and has really come a very, very long ways. You have a lot to be excited about. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Still so much more to come. Well,
so much.
Still to come here on the program. So much more to come here on Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Be sure to stop by any Northeast Ohio Raising Cane's location tomorrow after 4. And when you do, you'll help support high school football. A portion of all sales will benefit the Browns high school football initiatives. That's this Thursday after 4 at any Raising Cane's location. Raising Cane's certainly is one love. Nice. There's so much sports going on. Ramirez with the walk-off to put the Indians into the postseason last night. Going up against Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, I was able to flip back and forth. Actually saw the home run live and then was able to watch as Denver held on to beat the Lakers. Jamal Murray with just an incredible performance in the fourth quarter of that game to ice that game. We are going to get to, like, sports, whatever the ceiling is, it's coming. Because SEC football starts this week, which means that college football will be in full swing. Ohio State in the Big Ten is October 24th. You're going to be in the middle of that, NBA Finals, World Series, playoffs, NFL, the Masters in early November, all of this stuff happening at the same time. It's going to be an overload.
It's going to be a happening monsoon, as Jesse the Body Ventura would say.
It is.
To Gorilla Monsoon. Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible. It's good. We've needed it. We waited. We were patient, and fortunately it's happening. And I think that's going to be, we're ramping up. College, I'm going to have to see it before I fully believe it. We're already seeing 3 games have been canceled.
You're going to get a couple. You're going to get games here and there. I think that the threshold for games played, if you're thinking about from an Ohio State perspective, an SEC perspective, whatever, Notre Dame, I'd be shocked if teams play more than 5 or 6 games.
Yeah.
Even the teams that have 10-game schedules. I don't see it. And the Big Ten, the margin for error in the Big Ten is so nothing. When you're trying to play 9 games in 9 weeks with no buys, there's no wiggle room there. So it's going to be a big challenge for them. College football, I haven't jumped into it much. I've watched a little bit of Clemson just because I always pay attention to the teams that are threats to Ohio State. So I saw a little bit of Clemson in their first week. But this week I will buy in a little bit more with the SEC coming back. I love that conference, and so I'll have that on a little bit more on Saturday with them coming back. But then the Big Ten is still 4 weeks away before you get to see those teams play. But yeah, you're right. It's huge hurdles from college football to come back. And the NFL, it's been amazing. We have no positive tests again. We've had now 2 weeks of travel. These are the days we know. Tuesday and Wednesday if you're going to have any. We've had 2 weeks of travel by teams. The protocols are working. The
1 minute.
Working. You're delivering a fantastic football product. It's been cleaner than I thought it would be, frankly.
Significantly so. And I think that's been a little bit at the behest of the league. Let's not have yellow, napkins all over the field all game long. And frankly, it's better. And there was a comment that was
much better.
I think it was Sunday Night Football where they said clearly there's been a mandate for the league to only call obvious penalties. That's what it should be.
Good.
It's a physical game.
Yes.
There are going to be, ins, outs, what have yous. Let's just be when it's obvious. When everybody watches the game goes, oh my God, that's a hold. Let's call hold it.
That's a hold.
That's a hold.
That's it. When you know, it's kind of that simple. We're back tomorrow for more fun. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
You're down, guys. Good show.